Hello, it is Ben Walker here, and in this video, I'm going to talk about what I see as being the biggest bottleneck for freelancers all around the world and what you need to do to break through that bottleneck in order to create a consistently profitable freelance business. Now, what is it when you hear people, when you go on the freelancing forums, that you hear most people saying? What's the thing that's preventing freelancers from, making $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month? It's not the fact that they can't do the work. It's not the fact that their skill set isn't in demand. The biggest bottleneck for freelancers is lead flow. Now, what do I mean by lead flow? If you're not in the sort of the business world, then you may not know what I mean by lead flow. Lead flow is that magical thing where you have all of these incoming inquiries to potentially work with you. You've got, whether it's inbound, outbound, you're generating leads for your business that you can convert into clients. And it's important to know that not every lead is going to convert to a client. I'm not talking about clients. I'm talking about the opportunity to translate inquiries into clients. Lead flow. And that's what most freelancers don't have. Now, so how do most freelancers try to generate lead flow? Well, they go where a lot of the leads are. So they'll go to Fiverr, they will go to Upwork, and that is a valid way, I suppose, of finding leads. There is a pool of leads there. The issue with those leads is that they are price shoppers, and very often they're hiring you as a temporary technical resource, which is a difficult business model to make consistent money from. I talk about that in other videos, but I won't linger on why you don't want to be a temporary technical resource in this video. So you have a lead opportunity, a lead pool in Upwork, Fiverr, these other online freelance boards, but they're not the best. It's hard to position yourself as a technical expert there and make that business model work. So what do freelancers tend to do? Well, they tend to start posting on social media. So they will start, generally their personal Facebook group, they'll start trying to post helpful content, multiple times a day or once a day. And they essentially have to become this content creation machine. And if you combine that, let's say, with a blog, which is another standard way of trying to generate lead flow, a website blog, you create a beautiful website, you add a blog to it, and then you write. Or you create a YouTube video like this, you create YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video to try to generate lead flow. But all of these tactics that I've spoken about have one fundamental issue. They're very, very passive. And what that means is that you, as a freelancer, as a business person, are relying on people to stumble across this content, start consuming this content, start building this trust with you, and eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed, they will reach out to you as a potential lead. But you think about that whole process. You have, not only are you writing content, not only are you trying to find articles to share to prove your value so people understand that you're an expert. So you're putting all of this time in up front to just generate the content. And it takes a long time to write. So let's say a good blog post, it takes hours of time. So you're taking all this time to generate this content, and then you're sort of crossing your fingers and hoping that people sort of stumble across it. And that's where it fails. That's where that system fails. People don't accidentally go to your website anymore. Generally speaking, all of these sort of skill sets that we are servicing our clients with as freelancers, those Google rankings are so competitive now that you can't write some good articles and just magically rank well. It doesn't work that way. It's so competitive. You have to put in a serious SEO strategy to have that happen. And as solo freelancers, where do you find the money and the time to do something like that? So these older passive ways of marketing yourself, this sort of trying to build a social media network, I suppose, trying to build a beautiful website and hope people will just stumble across that. Writing blog posts for the sake of creating content doesn't work. And if it does work, it'll work a little bit, and your lead flow will be so small that you are still in a desperation mindset where you don't have enough leads coming in to justify positioning yourself as an expert, to justify charging more for your expertise. And that's an issue. It's hard to run a business, a consistently profitable business, when that's the case. Now let's imagine that we have ways of generating lead flow, that all of a sudden we have a huge amount of leads coming in. Let's say for a standard freelance business, let's say we have 20 leads coming in a month. That's fantastic. All of a sudden, when you have 20 leads coming in a month or more, you have the ability to qualify leads. You have the ability to filter out the people that you don't want to work with. You know, those arrogant people, the people that don't treat you as the expert that you are. All of a sudden, with lead flow and with high quality lead flow, you have the ability to charge what you're worth. You have the ability to, all of a sudden, transform the way that you do business. And this is the biggest bottleneck that most freelancers have, is generating lead flow for their businesses. They can do good work. You know, they know how to work with clients well enough to deliver, what the client wants, to get the client a return on investment from their work together. But they just can't get the leads. So how do you build lead flow? How do you break through this bottleneck that I've been talking about? Well, this is how I teach how to build lead flow. And so what you have is these active outreach channels. These are just marketing channels. There's nothing special about these, but they are ways to increase the surface area of the people that know about you, your skill set, and how you can help them. You use these very simple marketing channels to increase that surface area as much as possible. You also can leverage your time and really scale up your ability to generate leads using paid channels. You know, I highly recommend using Facebook ads, with the caveat that you must know how to use Facebook ads. You must have a system in place to use Facebook ads to generate leads for your freelance business, it can be an incredible money sink if you don't have a system in place. So that's the caveat for that particular marketing channel. And look, once you have these channels in place, as I said, all of a sudden you can qualify these leads. So in the middle section here, you can see that we're actually qualifying our leads with a very simple 15-minute phone call. We were asking them, what's your budget? We're asking them, what are your ideal outcomes from potential work together? We're asking them, what situation are you in now, which is the drive for us to potentially work together? All of those things then tell you, can I help this person first? Can I help this person and add value to their business, to their lives? If the answer to that is yes, do they have the budget to work with me? If the answer to that is yes, you can ask, do I like this person? If the answer to that is yes, you can ask, are they ready to move forward with this work right now? And if they're not, how do I follow up with them at a time when they are ready to work with me, when they are ready to implement this project that we've been talking about? The other excellent part about generating leads in this very active way is that you don't have to spend all of that time on content creation, which is an absolute nightmare. I've tried to do it. I tried to do it for 18 months, writing these huge 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 word posts, and it generated me one client. Over 18 months, it generated me one client. It was a terrible return on investment. The time that I spent on that was absurd. So all of a sudden, with active outreach, using these marketing channels, leveraging these channels, all of a sudden, the time that you're putting into it is much less than it would be if you were going on a content creation campaign. And all of a sudden, your return on investment is incredible. Especially if you're just doing organic outreach, you're just doing, leveraging these LinkedIn channels that I talk about here, the email channels, and you're not spending anything on ad spend. All of a sudden, your input into this system is just your time. You just need 1 or 2 hours a day to generate these clients. And the sales cycles tend to be much smaller as well, because you're you are demonstrating your value both in the qualifying call, but in the sales call as well. You're demonstrating your value within, generally speaking, around 1 hour of phone calls, and that's it. Look, sometimes if it's a big project, if it's a 5-figure project or more, you're going to have to meet with that person, in a meeting room somewhere. Chances are, anything that I've sold over sort of that 5-figure mark has generally required an in-person meeting, because they want to meet you. They want to build even more trust than you can probably generate on a phone call. But look, I would highly, highly suggest that you try to change your mindset from one of passive marketing and content creation and leaning on these freelance platforms which have these pools of leads, to being more active about your marketing, thinking about how to leverage these free marketing channels to generate this really high lead flow for your freelance business, and all of a sudden transform your business into one of desperation and waiting and not knowing when your next client's going to come through, and the classic sort of freelance feast and famine situation, to one where you are taking absolute control of your lead flow, and therefore how many clients you get into your business and what you can charge and who you work with and all those really fun things that make the business work, to be frank. So if you found value from this video, I would highly, highly recommend, if you haven't already seen my how to create your perfect freelance business video, my video training, click the link below this video and sign up to that. If you have watched that video and you want even more advice for your specific situation, then I want to invite you to book a call with me personally. We're about over 45 minutes. I will help you understand exactly where you are and exactly the things you need to do to achieve the goals that you have for your freelance business. And I'm going to invite you to potentially work together at the end of that call, but that's completely okay. If that's not a good fit for you, then there are no hard feelings at all. I completely understand, but I'm sure you'll get incredible value from the call together anyway. I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope that you take action and take a more active mindset into how you generate leads for your freelance business. My name is Ben Walker, and this is a Business of Freelance video.